Well, hello and welcome to Understand Men Now. I'm Jonathan Assay of jonathanasay.com, and I'm so excited to be sharing this live stream with you today. Our topic, the 5 hidden ways women sabotage their relationships. And number 3 is one you don't want to do. Really quickly, if you're new to my YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you can be notified of new videos. And at any time during this video, if this content resonates with you, please do me a favor and hit that like button so it can be seen in the YouTube algorithms. And if you're watching the replay right now, really quickly, I do the content first, then I go to Q&A. So if you don't want to stay for Q&A, just the content first. But really quickly, the Q&A is really the best part of these live streams. So I hope you stick around. All right, we're going to talk about those 5 hidden ways women sabotage their relationships. And I want to lean into this for a second before I actually list those 5 things, because I truly believe that the vast majority of people who are in the dating, mating, and relating realm, certainly those of us who are in midlife, are hurting on the inside. They're hurting on the inside from a variety of different places, if you will. One is certainly coming off of this pandemic, most people have been rather lonely, so there hasn't been a lot of dating going on or new relationships going on, or there's been relationships where you've been in close quarters for a long period of time. One is almost too much connection, and one is a lack of connection. I repeat that. One is a lack of connection, one is too much connection. And I do believe that's created a lot of stress in the relationship realm if you're at the one or the other end of the extreme. And certainly those, at least those who are single looking for love, who haven't really connected with a lot of people, it can cause us to feel a lot of angst. So I just want you to know, men, women alike are feeling a lot of angst in the dating, mating, and relating realm. Now, add to that if you've had some adult traumas. And what I mean by adult traumas, if you've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bad experiences in the dating realm. And bad can range from someone just ghosting you to someone being verbally abusive to someone being making a lot of promises that they can't keep to narcissistic behavior. I mean, the list can go on and on. So there's a valid reason why there's a lot of people hurting today. And when a person is hurting on the inside, they oftentimes create walls and blocks in their life, or they create situations that cause them to sabotage a relationship. Because the reality is, in this particular case, if a person goes unhealed for a long period of time and there's already a built-up fear or pain existing in the relationship realm, or maybe a belief about the opposite, or the opposites. I was going to say opposite sex only because my audience is heterosexual. I don't want to exclude those with different orientations, but my predominant audience is women in midlife, which is after baby-making years and before retirement. And I mostly work with women. So when we've had bad experiences with the opposite sex, a lot of times we create judgments and we create a lot of animosity, and there's bitter and jadedness. So I just want to say, if you're feeling any of this, you're not alone. You're not alone. And sadly, when someone is approaching a new relationship with a lot of pain inside of them, it can cause them to, as I said a moment ago, sabotage their relationships. Now, I've got to tell you something, as a man who is out he's single looking for love and has put himself out on most of the dating apps to be seen by single eligible people. I've gone on lots and lots of dates over my lifetime where I could literally be sitting across the table from a woman at the dinner table on a first or second date, and I can literally see every man that's ever hurt her standing behind her. Let me repeat that. I can literally see every man that's hurt her standing behind her by the energy that she puts out, by the tonality of her voice, by her descriptors around relationships. And so my invitation for everyone here is this. What's past is prologue. What's happened in your past, you can't change that. What you can do is change your perspective going forward. And my invitation for everybody is to at least do your best to, when you meet someone new, operate from a place of what's known as beginner's mind. And what that means is, whatever this person sitting across from you hasn't hurt you. So taking past hurt into the scenario is most likely going to create some situations where you might sabotage a relationship. So let's jump into the 5 hidden ways that women sabotage relationships. And number 1 is what I've turned, by the way, I'm going to put my trusty glasses on. For those who are on the live stream, I'm thanking everyone, Lisa, Kathy, and so forth. I can just see right now. But the first one is what I call irrational jealousy. Irrational jealousy. Now, that's different from valid jealousy. So let me give you an example of valid jealousy. You're dating a man. You're in a relationship. You're sleeping together. And you see that he's liking lots of pictures on Instagram of sexy women, and he's writing flirtatious messages. This is oftentimes we see this in the social media realm. And when we see that, that gives you a valid reason to be, I don't want to say jealous, but to be concerned. You have a very valid reason to be concerned, because a man who genuinely wants to be in a healthy, happy relationship isn't going to do that. People that are just still sniffing around and playing it casual and have no direction in the dating realm, they certainly might continue a behavior that might create pause. So to the extent that we call that valid jealousy, I want to say there's a valid reason to be concerned. But let me give you an example of an irrational jealousy. And this oftentimes happens with women who have trust issues. They already have built-in trust issues, and it might be because maybe their parent was unfaithful to their other parent. That might create trust issues. Maybe there might be a past relationship where there's been a betrayal and there's trust issues. But let me give you a personal example of something that happened to me one time. I was in a relationship with a woman. It happened to be a long-distance relationship, and I typically don't like doing long-distance relationships, but we met through Facebook, and we had a good connection with one another, and we dated, and I happened to be still very close to my previous relationship. And when I say by close, I want to say we were friends. Now, to the extent that we were being, talking at intimate levels with one another with my past relationship, or divulging any confidential information about, I got to turn off my phone, about my existing relationship, that wasn't happening. We have many mutual friends, and the person I was with initially had a big issue with that. Well, that created a lot of frustration for me, but to the extent that my ex-girlfriend and I were friends, it wasn't like we saw each other every weekend and talked on the phone. We just had a social circle which included everyone, and we would connect on social levels and see one another. But this woman I dated had a real anxiety over that. Add to that, not anxiety, but really disdain for it. And add to that, I'm in a profession where I talk to women all day long. I am the worst person to date if you have trust issues, because I'll be ringing every bell if you had that. And I had a client who had posted some photos on Facebook, and I just wanted to give her some validation. I wrote the word wow, and this woman I was with went off the handle. Now, is it valid for her to do that? I'm not here to judge that. I'm just here to say that caused me to be less interested in this person. That's just what happened with me. Not that I got defensive over my actions. Maybe I did get a little defensive, but that made me question whether or not I could actually be myself, because I'm not the guy that's clicking on Instagram and Snapchat, or not Snapchat, one of those other platforms. I wasn't doing that. I have a professional life that causes me to connect with women. And if someone has trust issues, that's going to create irrational jealousy. In other words, it wasn't valid. In fact, I'll just be candid with you. In my previous relationship I spoke of, we had so much trust between us, our computers would be open to one another, and I'd say, here, if you want to look at my phone anytime. That demonstrates trust. But to assume somebody is being unfaithful when they haven't done anything, that's an irrational jealousy, and that will most likely sabotage your relationship. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 2. I wrote down texting too much. I do believe that texting is good for, hey, I'm running late. Hey, I'm just thinking, maybe it might be a sweet flirt. I'm thinking of you. But some people have some women as well as men. This everything I'm sharing goes, with both genders. But some women have a propensity to literally vomit communication via text messaging. And if there's incessant communication, oftentimes men don't operate that way. Not all, but most don't operate that way. So there might be this pushing away with incessant need for communication. Now, part of that reason is because we know, most people aren't dating an environment where you live next door to someone and you can see each other on a regular basis. I mean, the minute there's 5 miles of distance or more, it's not as convenient to connect. And so I understand the need for incessant communication, but there's a danger of doing too much communication because it's going to push someone away. Okay, so I'm just, I know many of you are told, hey, wait for a man to text you, but I've watched women do this over and over and over again. And I'm a believer that, again, text messaging is for cute little flirt messages. Hey, thinking of you with an emoji. Hey, I'm running late. Sometimes you can have a conversation with text. That's okay. I'm not object to that. But incessant communication can wear. Am I back? I'm so sorry. We had an internet problem, so I really apologize for that. Okay, so we were just talking about texting too much. All right, let's talk about number 3. And this is the one I want everybody to be real conscious and aware. By the way, let me know if I'm back, but real conscious and aware of number 3, which happens frequently, is what I call talking bad about other people. Talking bad about other people. Here's the thing about talking bad about other people, in particular, talking bad about an ex-partner. Talking bad about an ex-partner. When one talks bad about an ex-partner, that's a sign of I say it's a sign of not taking personal responsibility for one's choices, and it's oftentimes pointing the finger at another human being. Let me repeat that. It's not taking personal responsibility for one's choices, and it's pointing the finger at another human being. This is one of the big challenges I see, because most people, especially divorced people, tend to blame their partner for the relationship, and they take zero ownership on their part. Now, I can tell you right off the bat, that's a significant turn on. Whether it's a man or woman doing it, that's a turn off. And it's actually a subconscious sabotage to truly connecting with another human being. Let me repeat that. That's a subconscious sabotage that truly allows you to connect to another human being. Because if you're carrying past hurts with you and you haven't taken ownership on your part, that's just a sign that you most likely are going to be not very emotionally healthy to be in a future relationship. Now, look, I understand many of you might have very valid reasons for lack of a better word, throwing your previous partner under the bus, but wouldn't it be likely that they also could say the same thing about you? I mean, the sad part today is people go into divorce courts defending their position of why they're right, instead of taking ownership of why they even engaged in such behavior. And what I mean to say is, when you compromise your standards and compromise your boundaries, you've got to take ownership on that. Unless, I like how Dr. Pat Allen says, unless you have to call a doctor, attorney, or a policeman, you have to take ownership in every aspect of your relationship. So that's, oh God, My nose is itchy. So by not taking ownership and talking bad about other people, particularly about past relationships, that's a good chance you're going to be sending the wrong signal to the person you're with, and it might sabotage your relationship. Okay, number four. Oh, all right. I call this constant validation. God dang it, my nose. Okay. Constant validation. Needing constant validation, excuse me. This is where so many women in particular give their power away to men. In other words, your whole center, by the way, men do this too, but your whole center around your happiness is predicated on whether or not he's giving you attention, loving you, and then needing constant validation. I can tell you that when I'm with, I'm a Leo. I'm not words of affirmation, I'm words of adoration. There is an element where I like feeling validated, and it's natural to want to feel some validation, but that need for constant validation, that need for constant communication, that need for knowing exactly where you stand in your relationship all the time is most likely going to sabotage your relationship. It takes a very understanding person to be able to accept someone's behavior of needing constant validation and constant support. So I'm going to tell you that that's a really big one too. In fact, I understand why that's happening, because again, if we're not spending regular time together doing social activities, hobbies, and mutual interests, or spending time with family and friends, it's going to be problematic, because are you really truly getting to know one another at a heart-centered level? A lot of times these days, most people are dating. This is how they're dating. They spend more time on this than they do face-to-face. And I'm here to say constant validation is going to most likely sabotage your relationship. And number 5, actually, I got this one off the internet. I thought this was interesting. I was reading an article about hypergamy, and hypergamy, I'm going to read you the definition of what I read. The action of marrying or forming a sexual relationship with a person of superior psychology, sociology, and educational background. Marrying, again, action of marrying or forming a sexual relationship with a person of superior. So I call this women who are always trying to upgrade, In other words, they're not satisfied with what they have. They always have to have better and better and better. And so this is, I have felt this many a times, because I live in an affluent area. But to be candid with you, I don't own a big home, and I don't have, well, I did just buy a new car, by the way. But it is a sports car, by the way. But I don't have what a lot of my contemporaries in this area have. And I know I've been rejected because someone may have come to my home, go, oh, well, he just doesn't make enough money. Now, I'm not saying that that's valid. I mean, everybody's entitled to how they want to operate. I'm not suggesting that that's right or wrong. I'm just saying, if you're constantly always trying to upgrade, to do better and better, you're going to be sabotaging what could be a really good relationship with someone. And so my hope is that we recognize that, look, at this process of dating, mating, or relating, it's a mess. There's no doubt about it. It's a mess. And it's a mess because the fact is we're not meeting in truly healthy, organic ways where we're meeting people who we actually know in our social circle. Sadly, most of the time, 80-90% of all new connections are happening through our devices, and everybody is a total stranger. And when someone's a stranger, it's hard to feel safe at any level until you actually get to know someone. This is why I'm a big proponent of approaching the process in a completely different way. It's why I'm such a big proponent of learning to love on oneself, so the angst of the process doesn't have to bring you down. It's why I wrote my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. There's a link in the description below. Why I wrote this is because as a dating and relationship coach, I've noticed that dating triggers the #1 emotional health issue facing almost everyone. That is, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, and I'm not likable. And sadly, dating triggers that. This is why doing a deep dive into the personal development work I talk about in video after video after video is so hugely important. So just to repeat those 5 hidden ways women sabotage relationships. #1, irrational jealousy versus a real concern. Texting too much. Talking bad about an ex or people in general. Needing constant validation. And lastly, always trying to upgrade. Those are just 5 simple examples to share with you. And my hope is I've just offered a little bit of different perspective today. To the extent that any of you are doing this, I'm a big proponent of doing personal development work while you're actively maybe searching for a mate, or if you're currently in a relationship, do the work to make you a better human being for yourself. Because when we are no longer dependent upon someone else for our happiness, we actually open ourselves up to a potential amazing relationship. And that's my invitation for all of you. All right, we're going to take questions in a moment. I've got a couple shares first off before we take questions. So I have a huge share. I got this coffee mug in the mail today. It says, "Love yourself." By the way, I'm drinking a Moscow Mule in here. Love yourself, which is so apropos. And I want to show you the card that came with it. So I want you to look at this card. You're doing an effing great job. And so I want to read to you what she shared with me before we take questions. She said, "Jonathan, I bet you'll be getting a lot of new mugs from your clients. You mentioned needing new mugs in one of your videos." By the way, I have a private Facebook group called Midlife Love Mastery. There's a link below to join my VIP group, but that's where I mentioned it. And she goes on to say, "We folks who have gifts as our love language feel compelled to respond. Congratulations on your 100th podcast. This mug is to thank you for equipping me for vetting, dating, and for self-love and life management. Your insight into the male mind has transformed my life and made me a better person, more empathetic human. Huge hugs from Catherine in Oregon." So I'm so grateful for that. Thank you so much, Catherine. Big hugs to you. All right, so let's jump into questions. If you have a question, here's a couple things you can do. You can purchase a super sticker or a super chat. This pops up on my screen so I see it quickly. All the money that I get from a super sticker or super chat goes to a foundation I started for my son right there. Connor, those of you know who follow me know my son passed away. Dang, it's coming up on 3 years. And the funds go to a foundation I'm starting as a scholarship fund to help people in their personal development endeavors. So that's my goal with that. So if you want to purchase, or if you want to write a question, write the word question and then post your question. So let's see what we have on the board today. Let's see. Beth says, "This relationship with you has been the most satisfying. Thank you so much." Melinda writes, "Jonathan is on." Thank you. Valerie says, "I need balance in my life. Everything has to work or I am out." Way to go. Let's see. "Good to be here for another great video." Thank you, Lisa. Let's see. Let's find a question. Again, write the word question, then post your question. SJ says, "Jonathan has told me to have self-respect, go with your gut, and stand up for yourself." Yes, yes, yes. That's how you love on yourself. Robin says, "What I mean is Jonathan knows what he's talking about." Thank you, Robin. And SJ says, "For sure." All right, let's see what Carol wrote. Domestic violence, let me read this again. "Domestic violence is not tolerable, women or men. I had to get a restraining order, abs, back out of my husband because he almost took my, I'm assuming, life, and my abs, the force that hit him, dented the fridge. Again, if you have to call a doctor, a policeman, or an attorney, this is time. That's a great sign that it's time to move on from your relationship and seek legal counsel or seek protection. If you ever have to do that, I'm a big proponent of that. So thank you for sharing. Okay, Osho or OF, I'm just going to call you OF, says, question, is my partner being a saboteur? He had me clandestinely listen in on a phone call between his mother and himself. Does this read as misguided attempt to build trust, or is it a big red flag? Well, I guess the question is why, what was the purpose of the call with the mom? I mean, without knowing the details, it's hard to tell you if that's a red flag or not. I would think actually, to me, it's demonstrating a level of confidence that he actually wants you to be, listen in on something going on in his life. So to me, that demonstrates a level of confidant and not a misguided attempt to trust. So it's kind of interesting you went there, although, I mean, you might have a very valid reason. That's not where I went. I saw it as an opportunity where that's building trust, with you by demonstrating that, he values your opinion. Misguided. I mean, someone who would have to have a real twisted mind to be able to think of that as a way of building misguided trust. I mean, that seems very unlikely to me, but that's quite possible. Again, not knowing the circumstances of what was discussed, I would say it's hard to say. All right. Rebecca gave me a super sticker. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Rebecca. Let's see. If you have a question, post the word question and then write it out. Okay, Lisa has just written a question. Question, what are some first steps into letting the other partner know that there's some personal work that have to be done in order to better the relationship? Okay, let me read that one more time. What are some of the steps into letting the other partner know? So I'm a big proponent that it's not our job to tell someone what to do, okay? That is very motherly, especially when it comes from a woman to a man. That can be very motherly, and that can actually sabotage your relationship. So we're going to add number 6 to the category is being motherly. In other words, telling someone what to do. Now, I'm a big proponent of leading by example. This is why I recommend to so many women that if they're having, if you watch my videos, before the penis goes inside the vagina, everybody should be reading this book, 8 Dates. And what I highly encourage that if you're exploring a relationship with someone, that you grab this book and give it to him. Buy 2 copies and say, hey, before we truly dive into exploring a relationship together, let's see if we're a good fit with one another. A lot of this you could do over the phone, and you could actually accomplish a lot in a short period of time to see if it's worth investing with one another. So that's one thing I would do rather than telling someone you need personal development work. I would, one thing is you can give a gift of these books and tell them how much they mean to you and how important it would be for them to read these. But quite frankly, the vast majority of the population is resistant to personal development, self-help, and spiritual work because that will cause them to have to break out of the mold of the egoic way that most human beings live. And most human beings live in the egoic, fear-based way of living. This is why this book has ruined it for women. The book, The Rules. This is a manipulative, fear-based way of approaching relationship and has ruined so many relationships because it works only temporarily for a nanosecond. It does not build healthy, happy relationships with one another. This is why if you want to build a healthy, happy relationship with one, first read the material I talk about on a regular basis and then introduce it to your partner. Again, ladies, listen, the minute you start dating someone, that's a vetting process to decide if you want to be in relationship with them. And the minute you decide to be in relationship with them, that's a vetting process to decide if you want to have something more serious. So stop being so cavalier and be intentional about the process. Stop expecting men to be the leaders of the relationship. Most men are fucking clueless. They're winging it. They have no idea of how to build a healthy, happy relationship because they don't buy these books. They buy the personal development books, but they don't buy the books like, trying to think of, the relationship books. For example, Barbara DeAngelis, Are You the Right One for Me? Another Barbara DeAngelis book. How to Make Love All the Time. Men aren't buying these books. Women buy these books. So you're being educated. And by the way, I want to introduce you to a great book. I haven't talked about this before, but Calling in the One by Catherine Woodward Thomas. This is a fantastic book to learn how to really get prepared to be in a healthy, happy relationship. And by the way, a little side note on my back cover right there, Catherine wrote an endorsement for my book. She said, Jonathan Aslay has written a simple and elegant approach to one of life's most important questions. Catherine Woodward Thomas, New York Times bestselling author of Calling in the One. New York Times bestselling author, gave me some props on my book. By the way, she is a personal friend of mine. But again, I highly recommend reading this book and actually show it to a man you're dating. Show it. Bring this stuff up. Don't be afraid to talk about personal development, self-help, and spiritual work with a potential partner. Did that help, Lisa? I hope it did. Give me a thumbs up. Thank you. All right, let's see what else we have on the board here. Question. Kimberly says, I'm guilty of dating up with MD, scientists, etc. Why am I attracted to type A when I'm the complete opposite? Well, there's a natural affinity to be attracted to alpha males. I mean, let's face it, James Bond, the quintessential alpha male, is highly attractive. I mean, shit, if I was a woman, I'd want to fuck him. I'm thinking, which James Bond would you like to have sex with? Who's your favorite James Bond? Okay. I'm a Sean Connery fan through and through. I do think Daniel Craig is great, but I thought Pierce Brosnan was awesome too. Not as James Bond, but I loved him in Remington Steele. Does anyone remember the TV show Remington Steele? I certainly love that show because I love the style and panache he had. But yes, type A personalities are highly attractive. But you know what? James Bond is the worst person to be in a day in, day out relationship. People with type A personalities, their libido is tied to their profession or to their mentalness. Mentalness, is that's the word. That's where their libido lies. And while they might want to have physical sex with someone, that's where they derive all of their pleasure, their egoic pleasure from conquering. That's what type A personalities do. It's a conquer. And so they don't necessarily make great partners to be in relationship with. So here's the thing I want to introduce you to, Kimberly. I want you to read this book, How to Be an Adult in Relationship. How to Be an Adult in Relationship. And why I want you to read this book, along with, I definitely want you to read this book, If the Buddha Dated. Because this is how to date from a spiritual perspective, and this is to be a grown-up. Because what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. If these types of men don't work for you, then why are you doing it? That's what a child does. A child does the same thing over and over again and expect different results. An adult says, you know what? Maybe I need to rethink how I approach relationships. And by the way, I think you'd be perfect for my private coaching. So check out the description below to schedule a free discovery call with me, because I think you'd be perfect for my coaching program, because we can re-educate you just like that. All right, I hope that helped, Kimberly. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All right, what else do we have? So Jenny says, it is so hard to meet a man who's done any personal development work on himself. That's my rant about dating. Ba-dum-bum. Guess what, Jenny? I'm going to tell you, as a man who's out in the dating realm, it is equally hard to find women who have done personal development work. So my belief is roughly about 97% of the human population has done little or no personal development work to heal childhood wounds and traumas and adult traumas that cause negative patterns and limiting beliefs in their life. Let me repeat that. The majority of the population is very emotionally mature and weak to be in relationship. This is why I recommend reading this book, The Hoffman Process, to heal on that stuff. I recommend this. Now, why I'm recommending this and why I say most people have, and by the way, it's not just men, Jenny. I got to tell you something. Let me be candid with you, ladies. In the last week, I've swiped to a couple women on a couple dating apps that we swipe back, and they've totally been flaky. One gave me her phone number and said, reach out to me in the afternoon. I text her and she never responded back, and it's been 3 days ago. Another woman reached out to me who I swiped months ago on one app. She just swiped me yesterday, excuse me. But we swiped a month ago on a different app, and she ghosted me there. And then she goes, oh, you look really familiar to me. This is an example of unconscious behavior. It demonstrates that they lack what's so important. If you haven't read the book, The 4 Agreements, be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Don't project onto others, and do your best. So ladies, I'm experiencing the same kind of crap you are, because I recognize that most people haven't done the personal development work to be emotionally mature in relationship. This is why I highly recommend reading the book, Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. I love this book. Actually, this is the audio version, but this brought me to my heart center. So that's my invitation for you. I hope that helps. All right. Question. Denisa writes, question. A guy I like wants to talk mainly about sex through messages, which I don't mind. He said he's looking for a serious relationship, though. What are your thoughts? My thoughts is meet him in person, date for 10 dates, don't have sex, and see how legit he is. That's my thoughts. I mean, quite frankly, this goes back to, if you're spending a lot of time on these devices, this can wear on us emotionally. Let me give you my rule. It's called 3, 2, 1, 3. Basically, when you meet someone online, you should roughly have 3 email exchanges, and that can be messaging exchanges, that should lead to 1 or 2 phone calls. And within 1 or 2 phone calls, you should plan 1 date, and that should all happen in a 3-week period of time. Let me repeat that. 3 messages, 1 or 2 phone calls, 1 date within 3 weeks. Now, I know Denise is going to say, well, Jonathan, he doesn't live around here. We live far apart. This is the dilemma you're going to face. You're going to spend a lot of time talking, or excuse me. You're going to spend a lot of time texting, only to have it go nowhere. And sure, sexual innuendos, we throw out sexual innuendos because most men who are not serious about relationship care more about getting laid than actually getting to know you as a human being. And so your investment in that person is most likely misguided. But like anything in life, how do we learn? We have to make mistakes. So my suggestion, keep doing what you're doing and see what happens. As Dr. Phil always says, how's that working for you? My invitation, get on the phone, schedule a date. If you have to initiate it, just do it. And because he's going to flake out anyway, and then you can move on to a potentially partner that actually would be interested in dating you than someone who just wants to talk, text. Okay? Denisa, thank you so much. Great question. All right. Yvonne says, you're so right, Jonathan. Thank you. Save your 77 fair. 777 fair. Question. We were on a no contact break, and after a month he texted me that he misses me but still wants to put distance between us. Why did he tell me he misses me but then wants to remain distant? Look, the minute we have sex with another human being, most likely I'm assuming you guys were in a relationship. The minute we have sex with another human being, we get attached to them. So he likes you, he cares about you, he just doesn't want a relationship with you. And what Okay, I'm going to give you an analogy. Something I learned from my son, Colin. That's Connor, that's Colin. Those pictures are about 5, 6, 7 years old. I remember Colin and I went to, a brand new video game came out. Oh, Halo 4, I think it was. And it was being released at midnight at Best Buy. So he said, Dad, will you take me to the store? He was 14 at the time. And we hung out. We got there at like 5 in the afternoon. And we waited in line 7 hours, and we were one of the first 20 people in line. By the time it was midnight, the line was 20 feet deep and a football field long of people. I mean, it had to be thousands and thousands of people, and we were one of the first people in. And so Colin got this video game, and he played it, and he played it, and played it, and played it. And then a new video game came out, and he started to play that. And I realized he stopped playing the game he enjoyed playing. But he said to me, every once in a while, he likes to go play that game. Now, my analogy is this. A man dates you. You sleep together, but he says you're not right for him, and he creates distance. And he goes out and dates a few other people, but every once in a while he goes, God, you know what? I bet you she might be easy. Let me just go tap on her shoulder to see if she might hook up with me. That's oftentimes why men do that. They like you enough, just like you enough to connect with you just a very little bit, but not enough to pursue a relationship. Is that what you want, 7-7 fair? I highly doubt it. Why he does it is irrelevant. My question for you is, why do you care? Why do you even want to engage with him? Most likely you have some attachment to him as well. So it feels really good that he gave you a little bit of attention. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying it could be that case. And it feels good when someone from our past gives us a little bit of attention. This is because we're suckling on the nipple of, I need you to love me so I can feel good about myself. I need you to love me so I can feel good about myself. I need you to love me so I can feel good about myself. Not to suggest that you're doing that. I'm suggesting to the entire population who does that. So, what I'm here to say is this. Work on yourself. Get my book. And don't give a shit of what he does, because it's irrelevant. What matters most is, do you want to engage with a guy who treats you that way? And if the answer is yes, then you're going to be most likely experiencing something that's going to hurt you later down the road. And then you're going to go, I should have listened to Jonathan. I hope that helps. Thank you. Great question. All right. Let's see what else we have here. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, Robin, thank you for the $5. Yay, I appreciate that super sticker. I need validation always. How do I get over that? I hate myself, sadly. I'm learning here about other people, but learning about myself as well. Sweetheart, please forgive my term of endearment here, but I just want to give you a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug. To say the words, I hate myself, and I've been there before, is one of the most disheartening things to read, because I'm sad for you and I understand pain you're feeling. Folks, I've been in that level of pain. I was at a point in my life where I used to go to bed wishing I didn't wake up. And I had 2 small children at the time. And I was addicted to drugs and alcohol to numb the pain of the depression I was feeling, because I recognized at that moment in my life, I felt like I had no hope. I was out of work professionally. This is before I became a dating and relationship coach, and I was living off of savings, and I lived with an oceanfront home, ocean view, and I'd close the curtains every day, pop some Vicodin, drink, and numb myself. Because I hated myself. I hated myself because I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't love myself, and I didn't like myself. And it took a major humbling event for me to shift. And what caused me to shift was literally getting so depressed I wanted to end it all. And I reached out to my father of all people. I said, Dad, I'm drowning, help me. And so at mid-40s, I moved back in with my mom and dad after I lost all my money in the market. I had no job anymore. And I used to make $250,000 a year in the insurance profession. And I rebuilt my life. And I started doing a deep dive into personal development. I started with Wayne Dyer and Abraham Hicks, just to name a few. And then I read The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And then I started to follow, the Four Agreements and Marianne Williamson and all the books I talk about. And then Connor passed away. And in the depths of my despair, I'm grateful for all the work I did in advance, because I then now had to navigate one of the hardest things I've ever had to navigate in life. And I had a choice. I could grieve through suffering, or I could grieve through love. And I decided to grieve through love. And that's when I poured my heart into writing my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? And Robin, my invitation for you is to read this book, because it's a journey of personal development, self-help, and spiritual work. And then at the end of the book, there are so many resources, because hating oneself is a terrible place to be. And my heart goes out to you. And as a person who lost a child and who was in deep, deep pain, it hurts. I get it. It hurts. Any hurt hurts. Any hurt hurts. And we have an opportunity, though. We can choose suffering or we can choose love. And my invitation, why I have a podcast called the What Would Love Do podcast. Because we have a choice. We can choose love or fear. And my invitation is you choose love. So I'm loving on you right now. I'm giving you a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug right now. And my hope is that you can do that for yourself as well. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Big hugs to you. Thank you. That hurts. I mean, when I say it hurts, it breaks my heart. So many people are suffering, and we're just wanting connection. We're just wanting connection. And it's hard to want connection when there's such a dysfunctionality in the world today. And it can make a lot of people gun shy. I did a post, how many people are single, not looking for a mate? And it was a huge percentage. Lots of people want a relationship, but they're either not capable, maybe they sabotage relationships, or they choose people who are incapable of relationships. I get it. This is why I have my YouTube channel. This is why I have my podcast. This is why I have my private coaching. And I got to tell you, I got a call yesterday from a client who was really happy to tell me about her new boyfriend. And she went on to say, Jonathan, I can't believe how your private coaching was magic. It was literally magic. You taught me really to understand what real standards are and what real boundaries are. And I mean, she's so ecstatic. She's in this great relationship, and she just finished working with me, not just, just in the beginning of the year. And I'm so excited because she has a relationship that's real, and she can tell the difference. She said, I can tell the difference now. And this is why I have a passion to helping women. So if you want to be coached by me, check out the link to a free discovery call with me. And if you can't afford coaching, then check out the link to my group called Midlife Love Mastery. That's a great way to connect with me on a regular basis. And if you join today and you post a question in the group, I'm going to shoot a personalized video just for you. Okay? My heart still breaks over that question. All right. Rosie writes, question, I was inconsistent and flaky early on, and then after I stopped and apologized for my behavior, he later started to do the same. Fear of love being the reason. Can my behavior cause this too? Well, certainly. Okay, so one of the principles of emotional maturity is action matching words, And if someone's behavior is inconsistent, it can cause a human being to be untrusting for a variety of different reasons. So here's my suggestion. If you're not able to be consistent in relationship, read this book, The Hoffman Process. Get to the bottom of what's going on, because inconsistent behavior is not healthy. And then what happens is people mirror behavior. So if your behavior is inconsistent, that causes someone else to be inconsistent. So work on oneself and then lead by example. That's my invitation for you. All right, thank you. Great question. Hey, before I take another question, I want to share something with you I found at my sister's home. Look at this book, The 101 Lies Men Tell Women and Why Women Believe Them. I'm looking at this book, and here's the 101 lies, just a list of it. Here's a lie. I'll call you. I love you. You're the one. I've never felt this way about anyone else. I've got to work late. That's the best sex I've ever had. You're the most beautiful eyes. Ladies, everything listed in this book, I can tell you, women do the exact same thing. So first off, this is not singular to men, but what's killing relationships is this is garbage. And when you read too much garbage, you're going to be you're going to have trust issues. If you read a lot of garbage, I can't believe my sister's reading this. It's just nothing but garbage. It doesn't provide value. If you want real value, read this book, Spiritual Partnership by Gary Zukav. Read this book, Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. Read this book, 8 Dates by Dr. John and Julie Gottman. Read this book, The 5 Love Languages. Read this book, Attached. Read this book, Getting the Love You Want. Why am I recommending this? Because books like this and this have killed relationships, these are saboteurs to relationships. So I'm here to say, read the books I recommend. By the way, I have an affiliate link. I make 2 cents a book. So it's not like I'm getting rich by this. I'm just encouraging you to read these books because they're going to change your life. Are you willing to do that? Please tell me yes. All right. Let's see what other questions we have. Jenny says, I've done a lot of work on myself and do so every day. Finally, I got the Hoffman Process book, reading it now. Thanks for listening to me rant. Yay, way to go. All right. We women try to be serious on dating apps, but then we remember it's a joke. I don't know what that means, but let me just say this about dating apps. Here, look, dating app. Oh, I got a match on Hinge. Dating apps are simply a portal to meet people, because the reality is we don't meet people in our organic life anymore. So it happens to be, they're just a portal to meet people. Men, by the way, and men and women are dysfunctional. So men, there are ghosters, there's scammers, there's flakes, there's people that are just looking for hookups. Men and women alike. It's not single. By the way, the minute we point the finger, I'm not suggesting this, I am, but the minute we point the finger at the opposite sex being wrong, you're literally contributing to the saboteur of your relationships. Stop it. Stop it. It's not healthy. That's my invitation. Dating apps are, it's just like the function of, garbage in, garbage out. People that put in garbage, they're going to get garbage back. So ultimately, what efforts you put in, hopefully you've done so by you've learned my techniques and you do a better job instead of doing it the old-fashioned way of winging it. Have you noticed I haven't said lean back feminine energy? I may not say that at all today other than what I just said. Let's read what Suzuki writes. Question. As I'm working on me to become a better person, both as a person and career, I notice my expectations are higher. I no longer get attracted to guys easily. I'm worried I may never like someone. Whoa. By the way, this is okay. So basically, this is what happens when you do personal development. You recognize the difference between unconscious behavior and conscious behavior. So most human beings are dating very unconsciously. They're unaware of their negative patterns, limiting beliefs. And then when someone starts doing personal development work, they start to recognize bad behavior in other people and they don't accept it for themselves. So yes, it is very common to think that there might not be anyone out there to like. And because when 97% of the population is really fucked up, it's not uncommon. This is why you hold space, because what's most important, Suzuki, is not whether or not you find a mate. The most important relationship in your life is the relationship with yourself. And that's what matters most. So I'm here to say, it's okay if you don't find a life partner, because the most important relationship is you. And yet here's what's going to happen. When you love on yourself, you'll actually become a magnetic attractor to attracting what you want. Go ahead and buy Catherine's book, Calling in the One. You will learn how to attract a great partner if you're in a great place. And that's my invitation for you. I highly recommend that. So go for it. Okay? All right, let's see what else we have. SJ writes, Jonathan, what does it mean when a guy says to you, he's very picky? I think it just speaks for itself. He's very picky. Now, is this a man that you've gone on a date with and says he's very picky? Or is this a friend that says he's very picky? People that say they're very picky. Now, there's a difference between being particular and being picky. Picky is usually an egoic way to satisfy egoic needs. Particular is, hey, I've got standards and I want to live up to the standards I set for myself. Love yourself, by the way. I am very particular, but I'm not picky. Picky is shit like this. And the ladies do this. You're 5'2", but I have to date a man 6 foot tall. But I have to date a man 6 foot tall. But I have to date a man 6 foot tall, and you're 5'2". And I'm like, look, majority of men are only 5'9". That's the height of the average guy. The over 6 foot tall only represents 15% of the population. That's cutting your nose to spite your face, as an example. Okay, men who are 60 trying to date 20-year-olds. You know, unless you're filthy rich, you're going to good luck trying to get that, unless the woman has real serious daddy issues. And that's not to suggest that there aren't women out there. But for the most part, being picky doesn't serve one. Being particular, thumbs up. Great question. All right. Hey, you know what, folks? I think this might be a good time to wrap up today. I'm doing a short live stream. We've got one coming up on Friday in just 2 days. My usual Friday hours are at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific Coast time. I want to thank everyone that was on to hear about the 5 hidden ways women sabotage relationships. Just a reminder, number 1, unintentional or irrational jealousy. Number 2, texting too much. Number 3, talking bad about an ex. Number 4, needing constant validation. And number 5, always trying to upgrade. I hope you found value in our live stream today. It wasn't as juicy as it normally is, but I thought we had some good questions. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for the love and support, certainly regarding my son. Certainly a lot of you who have expressed real appreciation for me. I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciate that. I hope I'm making a difference in your life. If I am, please continue to let me know. My goal is to change, not change, but invite people to begin a journey of personal development, self-help, and spiritual work, because the more you love on yourself, you have a greater chance of attracting the kind of mate you're looking for. And my hope is you all attract that kind of mate. And lastly, I want to end with one more big hug to Robin. Giving you a big, gigantic hug. And now I'm going to end by giving everyone, first off, I'm going to give myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love, if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow, and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye now.